The year was 1727. The air in Kensington, England, was damp and cool, heavy with the scent of the earth after a light drizzle. The late afternoon sky hung low, a grey blanket that seemed to press down upon the landscape. A silence enveloped the room where Isaac Newton lay. The only sound was the soft rustle of leaves outside the window, the gentle creaking of the wood as the house settled. Inside, Newton was a shadow of his former self, the once vibrant mind now clouded and frail. His breaths came in shallow bursts, each one a laborious effort. A faint flicker of candlelight illuminated his face, etched with lines of wisdom and weariness. "My time is almost up," he whispered, his voice barely above a whisper, "I have not yet finished my work." As he spoke, there was a poignant stillness in the air, as if the world outside had paused to honor the legacy of a man who had transformed the very foundations of science. The room was infused with the smell of wax from the burning candles, mingling with the mustiness of old parchment and dust. Moments later, a soft knock interrupted the silence. It was a close friend and confidant, the philosopher William Whiston. "Sir Isaac," he said, his voice tremulous with emotion, "are you well?" Newton's gaze met Whiston's, a flicker of recognition and strength returned momentarily. "I have witnessed the heavens," he declared with a faint but piercing intensity, "but the pursuit of truth never ends." With these final words, his eyes closed. Gently, a last breath escaping his lips. He had departed, but his legacy would echo for centuries to come. Isaac Newton was born in 1642 in the small village of Woolsthorpe, Lincolnshire, during a period of significant upheaval. The air was often thick with the acrid smell of burning coal from nearby homes, and the tension of the English Civil War hung heavily in the atmosphere. His early life was punctuated by profound personal loss. His father, a prosperous farmer, died 3 months before he was born. Newton's mother, Hannah, remarried when he was 3, leaving him in the care of his maternal grandmother. The sensation of abandonment bore down on him, a cold weight in the pit of his stomach that lingered throughout his childhood. "You will never amount to anything," a voice from his childhood echoed in his mind, likely a harsh remark from a father figure or peer. This negative energy would fuel his determination, developing a fierce independence but also a lingering sense of inadequacy. In the echoing hallways of Trinity College, Cambridge, young Isaac often felt like an outsider. The scent of fresh ink and parchment surrounded him, but all he could hear were the whispers of doubt. Newton's intellectual journey was far from straightforward. In 1665, the Great Plague swept through London, closing the university and forcing him back to Woolsthorpe. Separated from his peers, isolation gripped him like an iron shackle. It was during these dark, lonely months that he faced his first significant struggle. Sitting under the apple tree in his mother's garden, the weight of despair settled upon him like the oppressive heat of the summer sun. "Why can't I make sense of it all?" he muttered to himself, frustration bubbling beneath the surface. It was in this moment of despair that he turned to the principles of mathematics and nature. He sketched diagrams, grappling with the fundamental laws of motion. But failure often followed him, like a relentless pursuer. Each equation that didn't yield results felt like a step backward, an infinite loop of confusion. At times, he considered abandoning his studies altogether. "Perhaps I am not meant for greatness," he confessed in a letter to a friend, "the answers elude me." Yet, deep inside, a flicker of determination ignited, his mind refused to let go of the questions that haunted him. Amidst the turmoil of uncertainty, an epiphany struck him as he sat under that very apple tree on a fateful day in 1666. The air was crisp, the breeze cool against his skin, carrying with it the faint scent of pollen and soil. He recalled the sight of an apple falling to the ground, and suddenly, everything clicked. "Why does the apple fall straight down?" he pondered aloud, his heart racing as the realization washed over him. "Is it not the same force that keeps the moon in orbit around the Earth?" With this insight, Newton began to articulate his theory of universal gravitation, positing that a force acts upon both falling objects and celestial bodies, linking the terrestrial to the cosmic. His work was systematic, methodical. He employed calculus, developing insights so groundbreaking that they would lay the foundation for classical mechanics. "I stand on the shoulders of giants," he famously stated, acknowledging his predecessors but never underestimating the significance of his contributions. Newton's tactics involved rigorous experimentation and observation. He meticulously documented his findings, creating a compendium of knowledge that would soon be ratified in his magnum opus, the Philosophiae Naturalis Principia Mathematica. This methodical approach transformed chaos into order, revealing the laws governing motion with clarity. The publication of the Principia in 1687 marked a turning point in the scientific community. The atmosphere was charged with anticipation. Nobles, scholars, and aristocrats gathered in drawing rooms, debating the revolutionary ideas contained within. "You propose that the apple's fall is linked to the moon's orbit," a skeptical voice called out, cutting through the murmur of conversation. "How can you substantiate such an audacious claim?" Newton, with an unwavering gaze, stood before the crowd. "Let the mathematics speak for itself," he retorted, his voice steady, the fire of conviction evident in his eyes. With meticulous precision, he demonstrated how the laws of motion govern not only the earthly realm but also the celestial spheres. The room fell silent. As he articulated concepts like inertia, acceleration, and action-reaction with clarity that rendered his critics momentarily speechless. As he spoke, the air around him seemed to pulse with energy. The atmosphere shifted, a communion of minds embracing the dawn of a new scientific era. "Every object in motion stays in motion unless acted upon by an outside force," he declared, the weight of revelation pressing down upon every listener. With that, he sealed his place in history. However, not all were eager to embrace Newton's revolutionary ideas. Opposition soon arose from various factions, including rival scientists who insisted on maintaining traditional views. One of his staunchest critics was the philosopher and mathematician Gottfried Wilhelm Leibniz, who contested Newton's claim to calculus, igniting a bitter feud that would last for years. As whispers of controversy spread, the tension became palpable. "Your theories are mere conjecture, devoid of empirical evidence," Leibniz proclaimed, his voice a mixture of disbelief and disdain. Newton, though deeply affected by the hostility, persisted. "I care not for the glory of men," he is said to have responded, "but for the pursuit of truth." Yet the emotional toll weighed heavily on him. The isolation he felt during his childhood resurfaced, creeping into the corners of his mind. The pressure to defend his theories against a tide of skepticism left him feeling vulnerable, even as he continued to make groundbreaking strides in optics and mathematics. Isaac Newton's death in 1727 marked the end of an era but also the beginning of a legacy that would shape scientific thought for centuries. The principles he laid out in the Principia would become the cornerstone of classical mechanics, influencing countless fields from astronomy to engineering. Reflecting on his journey, Newton once mused, "If I have seen further, it is by standing on the shoulders of giants." This humility echoed through his work, highlighting the interconnected nature of human knowledge. His story serves as a testament to the human spirit's resilience. Every moment of despair, every challenge faced, contributed to a broader understanding of the universe, a reminder that progress often emerges from struggle, and that curiosity can illuminate even the darkest paths. As we delve into the life of Isaac Newton, we are reminded of the power of intellect, the importance of perseverance, and the impact one individual can have on the course of human history. In a world that constantly challenges our understanding, his legacy invites us to question, explore, and remain relentless in our pursuit of truth. Thus, as we walk in the legendary footsteps of Isaac Newton, we carry forward not only his discoveries but also his unwavering spirit, a legacy that continues to inspire and provoke.